Welcome everyone to more open source live Linux distribution development here only on this channel. We tagged our major stable release just yesterday. So we continue on already data, did the next updates of course, and users notified me on Discord, hey, some stuff might need an update here on amazing new contributors. Thank you for that. We have data, but sometimes probably sooner I said this, I should improve that, because each day we don't improve this is a day we waste human time. Like this updated tracker, I slightly wonder why does this not, this doesn't directory, oops, list, shit. Yeah, so that update does that build, and then we continue with WebKit. I wanted to, one last thing, yes, recurring theme, there's always one more thing, and that is WebKit on x32. And so WebKit, of course, I mean, the irony is I packaged that, at least I updated that mostly for like when we don't have Firefox for some architectures, because Firefox, the source is so complex. For example, requires Rust, so you can't build Firefox anymore for anything that doesn't have a Rust toolchain, like Itanium or other stuff like that. And the other thing is so x32, right? For example, we actually I wonder if we probably maybe could build Firefox for x32. x32 meaning the AMD 64, aka Intel also implemented x86-64, but with 32-bit pointers for a little bit higher performance and stuff. And yeah, that doesn't build with just WebKit. I already worked on that last night. 5 new, yeah, so, and that is not so easy. The crazy stuff is we can build WebKit GTK for probably nearly everything else, including probably even Itanium, maybe, but MIPS or whatever. And it fails for x32. And so yeah, thanks for that. We could actually give them a tiny little bit of Xante. So yeah, this stuff highly appreciated. I spent already years live on YouTube. I mean, not only 20 years in total, but as you can see from also video history, years on YouTube, and including writing a whole bot to scan the internet. But due to the nature of ever-changing stuff, I can't find everything. By the way, this is actually, this looks okay. So the crazy thing with WebKit, and so I hate when I press something wrong. So here's WebKit GTK. So that is, so the crazy stuff is it builds. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm fully aware that if you port major software, I mean, usually if you write something port, yeah. So you live through LTE and then your LTE. That never happened. Yeah, regressions and somehow LTE, O2 LTE held. Yeah, your business internet, your DOCSIS, Vodafone infrastructure fails so bad that you live through over LTE, and then even that fails. It's a pity that we are in a recurring theme now. I don't know how much is missing. Anyway, yeah, not super most impressed by those domain-specific build languages, because this is, in my opinion, even worse to debug than good old makefiles and configure scripts. But so what is happening here is that they set here this CPU backend, and I also have here the C loop thing we already built with enable JIT no. I wonder where this enable C loop is, and not enable C loop. Maybe that is somewhere else. So what we basically need to do, I mean, this Ruby-based assembly offset extraction thing obviously doesn't work, or for some reason doesn't work. And yet this is a frustrating thing, right? So much stuff YOLO together that is a pain to work with. Sure, everyone knows that nowadays browsers as complex or more complex than operating systems, basically a wallet garden of a sandbox operating system within your operating system, just for the, like a web operating system, super annoying stuff. If not C loop else, and assembly age. So what we, I think, need to do, and the reason I've also focus, do we have 0 frames? I wanted to compare here with this Hewlett Packard build, just something where I knew it wouldn't have JIT. So that, which was it even? Ruby in what's it here? The crazy stuff is I last night already tried to build with all the JIT. There's more than one, like 3 enable JIT, no, and enable B3 JIT and whatnot JIT, WTF JIT or whatever. And it's like, yeah, there's not, the crazy stuff is this stuff so complex that you have even 3 configure like or CMake options for freaking JIT stuff. It's madness. Okay, that is not there. Where exactly was it? We probably could also, alright, generate, maybe we find either that or, so that is the Hewlett Packard one, right? Or, so some of this X32. So I wanted to compare that with the Hewlett Packard one to better see which options are set there. That is offline. The only thing is we actually, you know what I would want is actually grab that and find what is that? Should that not be in some Mac file? Was this not in some Mac file? Where do we enter? We enter. Does it? Wait a second. This is only in. Oh no, this is build make. No, this is why we didn't find it. Of course it is. Stupid me. So 104. Here is it. I mean, it's super totally trivial stuff, right? And yeah, whatever. So yeah, so it tries to change directory and then Ruby run generate Z. That fails because of course, right? Complexity in the modern world. And the question is, do we have? Okay, this is actually in there. That is interesting. That is what I wanted to see. All right. Okay, it has C loop. Okay. So despite all my patching last night, it didn't set that to C loop yet, although I tried. We could try one thing, one low-hanging fruit, and I love low-hanging fruits. WebKit. GTK. Let's try to set that to C loop then. I only deleted that yesterday. You should look. Welcome everyone. Try maintain. What do you ever get tired? Yes, I get very tired. I mean, I said this before, but I'm super frustrated. If you have not noticed on this, maybe I should rename my YouTube channel to Super Frustrated and Depressive IT Guy. I was so frustrated 10 years ago that I started to use macOS. From like 1998 to 2008, I used Linux as my rock Linux, and so my own rock Linux I worked on, and T2 that I continue that. I was one of those super, it's like year of the Linux desktop for me was 1998, right? So I used 10 years Linux desktop, and I got so frustrated 10 years ago already that we had some Mac products, so I started actually to use Mac OS in like 2008 or about as my sort of half-day desktop experience. And I only maintained T2. As you have seen, I had the last year's 3 years live on YouTube. I had a lot of catch up to do because for a decade, like 2008 to 2008 to 2018, I only kept maintaining the core packages like Linux kernel, GCC, of course some architectures because we use them in the company and stuff, ARM, MIPS, PC, and all the core, all the toolchain and base packages and core packages. And I didn't touch KDE at all. I didn't touch GNOME at all, and so on. And yeah, so I've been frustrated. I was tired. I'm still frustrated and tired. And it also didn't get better, right? The last years on this YouTube channel, building an audience and finding new ways to finance all this massive, super massive amounts of open source maintenance stuff. What did I want to say? I catched up. Yeah, and it's not gotten better, right? In as far as my impression goes, it's so bad. Even like all the dependencies, right? I had 6 hours KDE update, or 7 hours GNOME, or vice versa. It's like 6-7 hours just adding packages, right? Adding stuff, building stuff, dependencies, new dependencies, stuff not building. And what do you really need for the desktop, right? Do you really need hundreds of packages like weather, like geolocation? Do you even want this on an Sure, some companies might want to add that, but do we, in the open source world, do we really need geolocation and weather applets and stuff, and especially in the base libraries, and not even like GNOME needing JavaScript and desktop stuff and GNOME Schnell. It's like, yeah. This open source stuff, somehow we should be better than the commercial people, and yet for decades we managed to build half or yeah, somewhat working, but also over complex and even if you follow not only me, but all the other Linux users who are dissatisfied with KDE and GNOME, they don't like that, especially GNOME taking choice or copying other commercial stuff and taking choice away and options away. I'm certainly not the only one who has that impression. I wanted to check the CPU thing, or actually we can probably, maybe I should stay in here not to accidentally delete that. Long story short, in a recurring theme here, in my opinion, we can and should do much better than this set state here. Yeah, and we will do more modern microkernel. And so this time we will of course keep maintaining that. I hope we gain more YouTube subscribers and viewers with this critical thinking and everyday developers around. Maybe I should rename it though to everyday developers around and critical thinking and cheers. Leave suggestions and comments and stuff down below. And I want to do, not only from a sales perspective, but also doing more interesting stuff. So we will definitely do more microkernel based stuff. Doing some real true innovation, maybe even some graphic subsystem, because it's the state of X, like X deleting all vintage stuff and Wayland also not yet. And yeah, so we obviously need some interesting, more modern 3D stack as well, probably. Anyway, some big ambitions. You probably want to share, like, and subscribe for that. WebKit, so we patched that here already. We have here some test patch, like that probably, and so that was C loop, right? So this is WT, like what the fuck, CPU equals C loop maybe. So we patch that here. So this is based on a patch, or is it even? All right, this is actually hard. Actually, here I tried to hard disable that, but somehow that didn't quite hit. So this I intentionally add here some X to disable that, but somehow that didn't have the desired effect. And this is based on a patch that was floating around. So this is needed in general for. Otherwise, it completely doesn't build it. It errors out instantly in platform, CPU, and page block stuff. So this is a truly extremely most minimal patch, and this is also some drop frames. Why? Hello, LTE, O2. Too many visitors in Berlin, too many people. Can you stop outside watching LTE or watching YouTube video on O2 LTE? Yeah, C loop, we wanted WTF CPU. WTF, you can't also mix the naming up, by the way. WTF CPU. This is proof of concept. Let's see what happens. Should we clean that? Oh, okay, doesn't matter the most. Actually, yeah. So it's work in progress. Theoretically, maybe it should be possible to patch the stupid makefile. Maybe we go here in already for debugging. But truth is also, and we talked about that before here on this channel, so welcome everyone, that in my opinion, we don't even have the most amazing open source browser. I mean, okay, Chrome is somewhat open source, but like non-commercial company-led browser, if you count Firefox, I mean, Firefox is not perfect. And the crazy thing is, I criticized this also multiple times already. Probably it's time for a new Mozilla Foundation video. I would believe that if I would be like the CEO or something of the Mozilla Foundation, I think they probably would be even more successful, because the Mozilla Foundation is only doing complete crazy nonsense. In my opinion, with so many billions of, imagine, probably most professional IT people would agree, if they would lead Mozilla Foundation with this billions of dollars, we should have a truly amazing browser, but somehow I have no idea what. I mean, they certainly have other, maybe their priority, maybe Google, they have secret contracts and gentleman agreements with Google not to make an amazing browser, because the state of Firefox is really disappointing as well. Chromium is, yeah, previous video building Chromium, yeah, and Google let basically also need an ungoogled Chromium. But in summary, the state of open source browsers technology stuff is also somehow not amazing. I'm sure there is this WebKit. I mean, WebKit is Apple's open source dumb that is not amazing. Then you have stuff like WebKit GTK and Chromium-based stuff of WebKits. But yeah, somehow it's also too complex, right? Everything but the kitchen sink. There's also too much stuff in there. And so yeah, what's going on here now? This apparently also did not yet work, right? What's going on here now? Undefined method. What? I think no, something else happens. I think, was it not previously? Why is here no method error? What the heck? Maybe this is out of Zinc, or is it? Yeah, I don't even know what they, I mean, this is also this kind of stuff. I mean, don't even do that, right? I mean, it's probably some performance hack. But thank you very much for that. This is Ruby. What do we have here now? But also the concept that they run some Ruby script thing here of offset generation stuff. Some of this looks strange. Some of it doesn't look how it should look like. The whole concept is already wrong in my opinion. That yeah, why is here not? Okay, there is not C loop there. Okay, maybe we still do that. Maybe we shouldn't set. I basically only tried that. I saw that on the internet. Someone else on some mailing list tried to set that. Maybe I shouldn't even override it like that. Oh, this is so wrong. Maybe we shouldn't set that here. Maybe that is causing more harm than good. Oops. Maybe we should rather focus on patching. Is that even that probably is generated out of that thing here, right? And yeah, here's the Ruby executable of wherever is. derived sources. Why is here not? Okay, we have multiple things. Here's offset build variants offline ASM backend. Maybe that wasn't set then. Set that to something Windows. Okay, here's the x86 stuff. Wait a second. Did this somehow doesn't? Oh no, this is so. Yeah. Why is this not C loop? So I patched that to X, not to set that. If not enable JIT. Okay, maybe this enable C loop. Where is that coming from? Maybe that is not set. Also, there's this conditionals. Maybe it's not setting that because that is not set. Where is... Maybe there's some other condition in some other bloody CMake file. Here's some platform enable. Ah, maybe they have here also. Would that be a possibility? Oh, wait a second. But was it C loop or... If defined, if enabled JIT CPU. Why is the stuff always so messy? Like so many config options with corner cases, and I guess we need to set that somewhere. That is, here is, wait a second, we could features. But my biggest, I mean, not only that, in my opinion, this is too much chaos. What really irritates me is a recurring theme that it's simply not upstream, right? This is, it was such a small, I mean, just making that to just, why after many years of, I'm not the only one, right? There have been other open embedded people, there have been Gentoo people. Why is this x32 enablement? It's so tiny patches that I'm probably the 12th person in the world to waste the time to patch that. C loop default off. Okay, this is some default thing though. With WTF CPU ARM. So, would that be, can we set that somewhere, or what do we have here? CPU ARM 6. I mean, maybe this is still wrongly set. Here's also system malloc default off. Interesting that they sometimes default that to off. So this probably, so we should fall into that or not. Ah, this is also, wait, use system malloc default. So we should get into this conditional, but somehow we aren't. Maybe there is still, or do we, is this still somehow, I mean, wait, maybe this still is in some make file, maybe, or CMake file of all things. Someone, Linux here says that's why they prefer, you mean Qt for bundled WebKit, or? But the thing is, I also don't, Qt is also everything in the kitchen thing, right? Qt is also basically the same of hundreds megabytes of crazy platform runtime abstraction stuff that is also somewhat too much for me. Where do they set that? I mean this. So we patch that here, but they probably don't use a header file, or does CMake stuff? Can CMake stuff parse header files? We change that, so if def ilp32 with CPU, I think that's probably independent from, I would think, I mean, the CMake file is probably not loading the header file somehow, or are they probably this? I mean, this here did not, okay, maybe we leave it for now. Let's first try out where this actually is set. But this is also crazy that it's, in my opinion, this is already a sign of not good build systems if you can't easily determine where the stuff is set. Or, I mean, maybe we should simply grep for WTF CPU. Here's uninitialized C loop. That is probably because we overrode that, and that's probably causing some. Here is some. It's options window. Where do they set that? Compiler flags. But this is exactly what I mean, right? On your weekend hobby project, if you restore a vintage car, you know what you've done. With this stuff, sure, you scrolled an hour or two, you grabbed and strolled through make file build system spaghetti shit. I mean, I'm aware that this, we patched that, but it can't be that the CMake, or would they run this through the compiler and load the result in CMake? Would that, yeah, also this somehow exists twice. It is also rather frustrating. Actually, could it be that, I mean, it could be so many things. It could even be that in one place it's including one header, and another place it's including the other header. Okay, that one I patched. Which one was that? That was source. If there's not a symlink or otherwise. Or is it somehow the same? Actually, no, I'm not even. Where would be, do they have? Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't. Welcome everyone. Bonjour. Do you like new C++ standards? Yeah, the new C++ standards, somehow they add so much complexity, and the frustrating thing is, I mean, a lot of this new stuff I don't really need. I mean, like even auto type stuff could sometimes be nice, but then sometimes it's also doing havoc. I think it sums down to they add too much random complexity, and the thing is that old stuff is still not amazing. I recently used variable template arguments, so that was actually pretty interesting. But it probably C++ boils down, the modern stuff boils down too little, too late. Or actually, yeah, too little, too late, and then the wrong things, like unnecessary complexity. And so on. Maybe we, but leave me in the comments below. It's always, I'm actually open to listen to additional feedback. So leave me in the comments below what's your take. By the way, I need to, yes, somehow today's O2 LT is also not super amazing. Somehow the internet hates us a bit. Maybe we shouldn't define the CPU noun here. Maybe that is used somewhere. Let's see if we define, let's see if that is the thing. Maybe that is used somewhere. You never know. Let's maybe clean that up then, and let's see what happens. And the rest is prefer C. Yeah, so the thing is, I mean, C is really, I will probably make eventually soon a video. C is really not good. Have you looked into other languages? So I recently wanted to do something with bit fields. By the way, do you use bit fields? I mean, the crazy thing is C is really not good. C is a really low-tech, not sophisticated, portable assembler front end, so to say, with too little features and too much undefined behavior. And at least with 20-year-old C++, you can at least use readable and not too cryptic and stuff features of templates and so on, to at least add some comfort to your code, like endianness conversion. Sure, all things are not amazing. Some things certainly could be better in Rust or C. But C, plus there are so many crazy things in C that just work accidentally, and then bit fields also. It's also you can't even portably use bit fields to define registers of like GPU hardware and stuff. Recently wanted to do something. It turns out that bit fields, I mean, besides they are implementation defined, so you should probably not even really use it to define on file system and hardware register stuff. But then you even need to define them in reverse order for big versus little endian. So they are basically useless to describe hardware registers like, say, a GPU and stuff. And so it's not even, my point is, it's not even a very good low-level system programming language. And I understand why the bit fields behave like that, to fill from the least significant bit for little endian and from the most significant bit for big endian, I think. But the way that works is probably most useless for most things, and for the things you rarely use it like that and need it like that, and the time you need it to describe network traffic, network packets, disk file formats, or other hardware registers, you can't even use it like that. It's set. Which is probably also bit fields. Probably one of those features that like barely use because it's too unusable. Or even the Linux kernel. The Linux kernel use it for some stuff like network packets, but then they have like if bit fields like little endian, big fields and stuff. So the Linux kernel has actually their way they use it. For example, for IP packets or so, like if little or big endian bit fields or stuff. It's hilarious. It's set. Which also means if you use plain C, you need to write it twice. You can't use some configurations because if bit fields span a byte boundary, you can't even swap that portably in C. But if you use this bit fields for stuff that doesn't cross, where bit fields do not cross byte boundaries, and you could use it, then you need to type it twice, once in reverse order, like if diff little endian. It's but other things are more important, in my opinion. Anyway, let's try to get the stuff here done. This is also time is running as usually. Probably this is still the same error. I think we still didn't make progress right. Okay, so this is still somehow not. I see already that this is not having the assembly backend in there. Or do they even define that somewhere? Let's say we still have that not set correctly for some crazy reason. Let me just check what is in our family chat. Not have an angry girl at home that... Okay, everything under control, cheers. Which also, yeah, but anyway, let's try to get this built first. And I was actually wondering whether, some people like to tune in for just some random rant and stuff. I was actually wondering, should I live stream it? But the point of live stream is also like what time wasting stuff it is that like non-authors and non-maintainers again and again need to waste their time to figure out this crazy build system maze and spaghetti labyrinth stuff here. And we probably would want to check what actually... We still need to figure out where this actually initially comes from. If define set, if define some. Do they? I mean, maybe we should. Which header was that? Platform CPU, this one. Maybe we should try to pre-process it and see if it results in... Okay, they want W platform age. And does it just work if we... What crazy includes do they have there? Oh. So that would be... What do we run? We run x86 T2 GNU x32. Let's see what happens with WTF platform H. Yeah, thank you very much. Wait a second, why is bmalloc? Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, that is somehow maybe not the most optimal way. Where was it even? bmalloc in... Okay, thank you very much. That did something, but not really what I... So it only sets WCPU, where do we have, if that even is exactly... Ah, here's enable cloop though. Okay, that looks like what we would want it. Why does it not work then? Yeah, so much to an amazing new build system, right? What could possibly go wrong? It would be, if this would be something sane, it would be long working, but instead you need to fiddle, debug and trial and error around in this bloody... do we even... I mean, maybe it should be even. The thing is how to even debug the CMake stuff. I mean, we could also patch all of those CMake files to potentially, like if we patch that, like with something non-matching, and eventually we should get into just brute forcing all this stuff. I mean, this is not the right thing. I just want to see it once compile. And so far I've not even... I mean, so if we patch that properly away, we wouldn't need that here anymore. I'll still leave it in here. I yesterday made the... I deleted the other thing. I yesterday made already accidentally deleting that. Could that have a chance to... I mean, basically, the crazy thing is for like totally unsupported stuff, it builds. And for this otherwise JITted stuff, it currently does not build because we didn't yet disable it. Actually, let's build it verbose just to have a better overview here. Actually, I should... let's maybe notify them that way. Actually... maybe we should actually check the log file in a second. It's just drop frames. No, somehow drop frames because so people know that we actually did that. But we did actually post. I did post it. Okay, here's probably where it usually... I hear some desired offsets. Hey, did it freaking work? So the problem probably still was there in the CMake stuff. I think that is where it... this is exactly where it previously always failed. I mean, if you wonder that sometimes some stuff is like really dirty, hacky stuff in T2, it's exactly because of that, right? I wasted like over 1 hour on like this hopeless makefile garbage. And then eventually it's like after 1 hour, it's like I have enough now. I have better things to do in my life than the patching, debugging, and quirking this bloody makefiles. And then it's like just brute force patch and hex this shit out of it to just freaking finally build TM. Yeah, that is why some stuff is... yeah, I changed the fonts for... Do you like the font? As you noted that I actually, yes, I changed the font the other day for a test. Do you like it though? I hope you like it though. So yeah, Bruce force hex. So should we do it? Yeah, probably. So so probably, you know what? What is the weather like? Junior probably wakes up, so maybe you know what? Maybe I should actually call it a day if this bloody shit builds now. It looks like it builds now. We still need to, so we can't just commit that like that. Maybe I leave it like that for now. I mean, this probably is okay. Either this or the other. I mean, whatever. So I mean, these patches here are okay, like upstreamable, as this shit here is just patching the heck out of it. Maybe I leave it like that for now because I get depressed from this stuff, to be honest. And of course, T2 being T2, documenting that the most open and accessible way possible. Not like other people where it never is committed and obscured in mirrors and stuff. where if Google doesn't find it. I mean, what good is it, like, even if some x32 enablement is somewhere hidden in some other source tree somewhere, I mean, what good does it do if it's hidden somewhere, nobody knows it's there and uses it? Which is why T2 continues to be the most accessible stuff of that. So then what I will do, like conditional, because we can't just use this patch then always, because it is a dirty hack and it would break all the x86 JIT stuff. So this is why I renamed this diff, and it doesn't auto-apply by T2's methods. And then we do here if that, then patch files conf dir, I think, do we need maybe better that x32 diff to do right. Yeah, maybe I better go out with Union to this than wasting my lifetime with this stupid CMake stuff. How much parallel do we build? Okay, yeah, the sources are so large, it freaking builds forever. Actually, I wonder if we need the system malloc, though. I added that there. Maybe we also don't need it then, because it probably, or would it? Should we? I mean, we probably could leave it always in there. Maybe we better always use. Maybe we better leave it in there, because we never really want another. Yeah. Yeah, so we could do this nicer, but you couldn't afford it then anymore, so you probably want to share, like, and subscribe and stuff. Maybe we should make an upstream week and live stream how much extra effort is each day. Like each day a live stream of an hour or two of just making stuff so nice that we can send it upstream, like the x32 stuff. Although a recurring theme is that upstream doesn't apply it anyway, right? So such like stuff like that was sent in, at least I believe, years ago, and not applied because now YOLO, who cares? And I sent PowerPC fixes to GCC like 1.5 years later, not applied. And I sent unbreaking Seagate, like modern Seagate USB drives, smart info to the Linux kernel, and Greg Crow-Hartmann's like, yeah, at least it was him. Maybe I recall that wrong, but someone, I think Greg, it's like, yeah, we are not doing it like that. Like, this was basically allow versus deny listing, where in my opinion it's stupid to allow list all modern devices, and it's like, yeah, but pointless discussions. But yeah, I guess I make it nicer. Like, if this freaking builds TM now finally, then maybe we leave it like that. And I make it nicer either if people share, like, and subscribe, or the next time it breaks for me, which hopefully is not soon. Yeah, and I also need the thread ripper, obviously, because it builds too long. I can basically scroll all my spam in the time that builds. Yep, 52. It builds crazy long also. Then this is leave in the comments below if you are a fan of this build times. But it's also a symptom, right? Basically, this is so large that even on the fastest enthusiast consumer desktop thing, it builds like for 20 minutes or so. Yeah. So that is then the last fix. Probably I will probably install test the at least one or two. 22, 22.4 releases. And then this fix I will merge into the 22.4 tag, because certainly we want some web browser for x32, right? So yeah, that's probably it for this video. Probably as usual. How long is it today was broken? Yeah, today even O2 LTE lets us down. It's 580 drop frames at 2 Mbit or so. Is it 2 Mbit? Probably 2 Mbit. 0.7%. Yeah, usually we have 0 drop frames with O2 LTE, in contrast to the massively infrastructure apocalypse that is Vodafone's DOCSIS cable here. Working, 2.5 Mbit, okay, at 2.5 Mbit, but usually 3 Mbit works reliable with O2 LTE, not sure, maybe too many visitors in, I mean, not even with COVID and stuff, not even that many visitors, right? So the few visitors in Berlin, the few tourists already break LTE, yeah. So, 55%, yeah, you can't mix this build times up. So there was some. So hey, 93%, somehow it jumped. It's progress bars from Mac and Windows. Maybe some sub-project, or maybe some JIT stuff disabled, and so yeah, that looks finally. Yeah, but all in all, this is, as I said from the beginning, on multiple, in multiple ways disappointing. From not upstream, from too strangely complex in general. It would be so great if we would have like one, I mean, sure, we have multiple open source JIT, JavaScript JIT engines in WebKit, in Firefox, in Chrome. And yet, all in all, it's not totally amazing. Especially, I mean, the crazy thing is even Firefox sometimes is not snappy, right? If, I mean, now of course I'm compiling, but sometimes on this epic thread-ripping 1550X workstation with 96 gigs of memory, I'm not even a tab power user, I only usually have a handful of tabs, and even this sometimes hangs and isn't snappy, right? And that is somewhat crazy, that with 16 cores and 32 threads and 96 gigs of memory and the latest and greatest and fastest and stuff, sometimes the stuff, I mean, even just with 4 tabs and stuff and switching and loading something, it hangs a second or two and stuff. That maybe I should debug that one day, but yeah, good luck debugging this with gigabyte of sources and 2 gigabytes of debug symbols and profiling that. And I probably don't, it totally makes no sense for me doing that. Yeah, makes more sense for me to write a new tiny portable JIT similar to Lua JIT, just not for Lua. The most minimal possible workable JIT thing, and see what performance and stuff we could get, as I outlined earlier. Yeah. Can we finally? I probably should actually start a VM and actually start this. Would be really interesting to actually see that working. Of course, I tested WebKit GTK, right? Even this cross-compiled stuff, we tested this 6 months ago on RISC-V unmatched, Sci-Fi Hi-Fi unmatched RISC-V 64 board. Probably should test it on PowerPC though. I really would see a truly, as with so many things, that I would see a truly modern and more minimal and stuff. I mean, the crazy thing is, like 15 or so years ago, I was actually using Conqueror and not Firefox. I mean, I think Conqueror, what Apple later then took like as KHTML from Conqueror and from KDE3, and Apple forked that into WebKit. Fun fact, right? And I was actually using that like in 2005 or so. Sure, not all websites worked, but that stuff that worked was much more snappy in KDE's Conqueror. And I only used Firefox like 15 plus years ago when stuff didn't work, like you had to access some government website or some flight or hotel booking stuff, and like all the other daily surfing I did with Conqueror. And that was actually, I mean, even on the PS3, right? I mean, probably the only thing you could run snappy on the PS3 probably was Conqueror. So yeah, that build, amazing stuff. Let's quickly see if that, let's rebuild that. I mostly want to see for a second if that applies, if we don't have a typo in this conditional patch applying x32 diff. Yeah, that applied there. So I guess we can WebKit GTK commit that then. And that is hopefully the really truly last thing. I mean, at least we hacked it somehow. Even though, I mean, there's even, like, if you, this always reminds me, there's this song from, so Janelle Monáe, Dirty Computers always. Dirty computer, yeah, that always dirty patch and dirty sources. If you want to know what a dirty computer looks inside, then look no further than this. Dirty patches here. So yeah, hot hacked WebKit, even actually conditionally hot hack WebKit GTK to build for x32 TM. Conditionally hot hack WebKit GTK to build for x32 TM. Yeah, there we have that. I guess now you can truly enjoy your x32 experience if you're playing along at home with T2. I hope you learned something. That's for this video. I have to go. Leave in the comments below how amazing you find all the state of the sources. Too big to compile and so big it fails or so. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I hope you learned something and see you next time.